Look around you. How many grown men do you know who are still boys? They have beards, they have mortgages, they have titles on their business cards, but watch them closely. They're still waiting for someone to tell them they're good enough. Still competing for toys, only now the toys cost more. Still throwing tantrums, only now they call it leadership. You think maturity comes with age? Don't fool yourself. I've seen 60-year-olds who cry when they don't get their way. CEOs who need constant applause like toddlers need milk. These aren't men. They're children in expensive suits, playing dress-up in their father's clothes. Here's what Seneca saw 2,000 years ago. Most men never actually grow up. They just get better at hiding it. They accumulate degrees, portfolios, conquests, anything to avoid the terrifying work of actually becoming themselves. Because here's the thing. Growing up means giving up the fantasy that someone else will save you, that someone else will make you whole, that if you just achieve enough, acquire enough, seduce enough, you'll finally feel like a real man. What garbage. You know what a child does? A child performs. A child needs an audience. A child believes that if he's just good enough, clever enough, strong enough, daddy will finally love him. And most men? They spend their whole lives auditioning for a father who isn't even watching anymore, maybe never was. The Roman Stoics had a word for this, puerilitas, the state of perpetual boyhood, not the playfulness of youth, which has its place, but the refusal to accept what every real man must accept, that you're alone in this, that no achievement will fill that hole, that no woman will mother you into wholeness, that no amount of money will make death blink. So they run. Oh, how they run. From responsibility to responsibility, from pleasure to pleasure, from distraction to distraction, always moving, never arriving. Because to stop, to actually stop and face yourself, that would mean admitting that all this running has been from the one thing you can never escape, the fact that you have to become who you are or die trying to be someone else. Watch them at the office. The guy who can't handle criticism without sulking for days. The one who needs to win every argument, even about where to order lunch. The executive who surrounds himself with yes men because disagreement feels like betrayal. These are the behaviors of children who never learned that the world doesn't revolve around their feelings. Seneca wrote in his letters to Lucilius, "Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and superficial to the old and profound. But these perpetual boys, they're addicted to novelty. New car, new woman, new job, new hobby. Always starting, never mastering. Because mastery requires something children can't give, sustained attention in the face of boredom. They mistake motion for progress, busy for important, loud for strong. They fill their calendars like kids stuff their pockets with candy, greedily, thoughtlessly, afraid that saying no to anything means missing out. But what are they missing by saying yes to everything? Only their actual lives. I knew a man once, successful by every measure. Corner office, beautiful wife, house that looked like a magazine spread. You know what he told me after his third divorce? I keep waiting to feel like I've made it. Made what? He couldn't say. Because boys don't know what they want, they only know what others seem to want. This is the curse of the eternal child. He measures himself by external scoreboards. How much does he earn? How many women want him? What do people say about him at parties? He's so busy checking the scoreboard, he never asks if he's playing the right game, or if it's a game at all. Real men know something boys don't. Nobody's keeping score. Your father's not watching. Your ex isn't regretting. Your competitors aren't lying awake thinking about you. They're too busy with their own scorecards, their own desperate tallying of points in a game nobody wins. Seneca saw this madness clearly. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. These grown boys are the poorest men alive. Not because they lack, but because they can't stop wanting. They're like kids in a toy store the day after Christmas, surrounded by presents but fixated on what they didn't get. Watch them in relationships. They want mothers, not partners. Someone to manage their emotions, organize their lives, tell them they're special. And when a woman refuses to play mom, when she expects them to handle their own feelings, make their own decisions, soothe their own anxieties, they pout, they withdraw, they find someone new who will play the game, or they become tyrants. Little boys playing king, demanding obedience because they confuse fear with respect. They control because they can't self-regulate. They dominate because they feel dominated by their own chaos, their own unmet needs, their own refusal to grow the hell up. The sexual conquests? Please. Watch a boy collecting baseball cards and you'll understand everything about the man who notches his bedpost. Same impulse, same emptiness after. Because you can't fuck your way to self-worth. You can't orgasm your way out of existential terror. But they keep trying, these boys, hoping the next woman will be the one who finally makes them feel like men. Here's what kills me. They think they're fooling us. They think the car, the watch, the women, the bravado, they think it's working. But we see through it. Women especially see through it. You know what women call these guys behind their backs? Boys. Always boys. He's sweet, but he's such a boy. I need a man, not another boy. I already have children. I don't need another one. Seneca wrote to his friend, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." But boys don't want friends who challenge them. They want mirrors. They want drinking buddies who won't call them on their bullshit. They want enablers who will pretend their tantrums are passion, their fear is caution, their boyishness is just being one of the guys. So they create these little bubbles of mutual delusion. Groups of grown men acting like teenagers, reinforcing each other's refusal to evolve. They call it brotherhood, but it's just a playpen with beer. Real brotherhood demands honesty. It says, you're better than this. It says, stop running. It says, grow up. But that's terrifying to a boy. Because growing up means admitting you've been a child. It means acknowledging all those years of posturing were wasted. It means starting over, but this time without the excuses. You want to know the real tragedy? Some of these boys are brilliant, talented, capable of extraordinary things. But they sabotage themselves at every turn because success would mean responsibility, and responsibility would mean they can't be boys anymore. So they fuck it up, they show up late, they pick fights. They quit right before the breakthrough. Anything to stay in the familiar territory of almost. Every man, Seneca observed, is in bondage to fear who depends upon chance for his happiness. And these boys, they're slaves to chance, to the market, to their boss's mood, to whether she texts back, to whether they get the promotion, the recognition, the validation, they're sure will finally make them feel real. But here's the thing about external validation. It's a drug that requires higher and higher doses. The promotion that would have thrilled you at 25 feels empty at 35. The woman who would have been a dream at 20 seems ordinary at 40, because the hole inside, it grows with you. It expands to consume whatever you feed it. Real maturity, what Seneca called wisdom, comes from recognizing this futility, from understanding that you'll never fill the hole with stuff from outside, that you'll never achieve your way to wholeness, that you'll never be loved enough to stop needing love. So what then? Give up? Become a monk? Hide in a cave? That's just another boy's fantasy. The fantasy of escape. Real men don't escape. They engage, they build, they create, they love, but they do it from fullness, not emptiness. They do it because it's worth doing, not because they need it to mean something about them. Watch a real man work. He's not performing. He's not checking to see if you're impressed. He's absorbed in the task because the task matters, not because he matters through the task. He can fail without becoming a failure. He can succeed without becoming success. He knows who he is when the lights are off and nobody's watching. This is what boys can't understand. Identity isn't earned. It's accepted. You don't become a man by doing man things. You become a man by accepting the brutal, beautiful fact of your own existence. By stopping the performance and facing what you actually are, a temporary arrangement of consciousness, here for reasons you'll never fully understand, capable of both creation and destruction, love and indifference, wisdom and stupidity. Seneca put it brutally, life is long enough if you know how to use it. But boys don't use life, they spend it. They spend it trying to buy something that's not for sale, the feeling of being enough. I'll tell you a secret. Every man you admire went through this. Every single one. They all had their moment of recognition, their dark night when they realized the game was rigged because there was no game. When they saw their own boyishness clearly and felt the full weight of their wasted years. What separates them from the eternal boys? They didn't run from that moment. They didn't rationalize it. They didn't find a new distraction. They sat in it. They let it burn through them. They let it kill the boy so the man could be born. This is the initiation that no one talks about. Not some tribal ritual, not some achievement, not some woman's approval. The real initiation is internal. It's the moment you stop asking, "Am I good enough?" because you realize the question itself is childish. Good enough for what? For whom? By whose measure? The willing destiny guides them, Seneca wrote. The unwilling destiny drags them. Boys are dragged. They're dragged by their appetites, their fears, their need for mommy's approval disguised as worldly success. Men walk willingly into their fate, eyes open, accepting both the glory and the horror of being truly alive. You can spot the difference in how they handle suffering. Boys think suffering is unfair. They take it personally. Why me? They whine, as if pain picks favorites. As if their special boy status should exempt them from the human condition. Men know suffering is just weather. It comes, it goes. Sometimes it storms for years. Sometimes the drought seems endless. But they don't make it mean anything about them. They don't use it as evidence that the universe hates them or loves them. They just work with what is. This drives boys crazy. They want life to be personal. They want their struggles to be unique, their pain to be special, their journey to be the hero's journey. They can't accept the simple truth. You're not the main character. You're not the hero. You're not special. And that's the most liberating thing you could possibly realize. Because when you're not special, you don't have to maintain special. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to achieve it. You can just be what you are. A man among men doing what needs to be done. All cruelty springs from weakness, Seneca observed. And look at how cruel these boys can be. How they hurt women who don't validate them. How they undermine colleagues who threaten them. How they abandon friends who challenge them. All from weakness. All from the desperate need to protect the fiction of their own importance. But strength, real strength, is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to dominate because it's not threatened. It can be wrong without shattering. It can be rejected without collapsing. It can fail without dying. This is what boys mistake for weakness. This quietness, this solidness, this refusal to play their games. They think real men should be louder, harder, more aggressive. But that's just what boys think men look like. It's masculinity as performance art. All costume, no character. You want to know if you're still a boy? Here's the test. Can you be alone without entertainment? Can you sit with yourself without reaching for your phone, your drink, your drug of choice? Can you face the raw fact of your existence without immediately needing to change it, fix it, escape it? Boys can't. They need constant stimulation because silence reveals what they're running from. The fact that they don't actually exist as they imagine themselves. That the confident guy, the successful guy, the player, the leader, it's all performance. And in silence, without an audience, the performance falls apart. We suffer more in imagination than in reality, Seneca wrote. And boys live almost entirely in imagination. They imagine what others think of them. They imagine what they should have said. They imagine future triumphs that will finally justify their existence. They imagine different lives, different choices, different selves. Meanwhile, reality passes them by. The actual woman in their bed, not the fantasy they project onto her. The actual work in front of them, not the success it might bring. The actual moment they're living, not the story they'll tell about it later. This is why they age so badly, these eternal boys. Not physically, though the stress of maintaining their performance often shows, but spiritually, they become bitter, resentful. The world didn't deliver what they felt promised. The rules they followed didn't lead where they expected. The universe failed to recognize their specialness. Watch a bitter old man, and you're watching a boy who never grew up, still waiting for his prize, still convinced he was cheated, still performing for an audience that left the theater decades ago. But watch a man who's actually grown up age. He becomes more himself, not less. He stops performing because he's not trying to prove anything. He can laugh at his younger self without bitterness because he understands. We all start as boys. The question is whether we stay there. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, Seneca noted. But boys believe in magic. They're always waiting for their break, their moment, their discovery. They buy lottery tickets with their lives, convinced that one day, somehow, it will all click. Men make their own luck, not through magical thinking, but through boring consistency, through showing up when they don't feel like it, through doing the work without checking if anyone's watching, through building slowly, steadily, without needing each day to feel like progress. This is too boring for boys. They want montages, not daily practice. They want transformations, not gradual change. They want to be made new, not to make themselves through 1,000 tiny choices. So they stay stuck. 40-year-old boys, 50-year-old boys, 60-year-old boys, still waiting, still performing, still wondering why they feel so empty despite having everything they thought they wanted. The cure is simple but not easy. Stop. Stop performing. Stop competing. Stop trying to fill the hole. Stop waiting for external validation. Stop believing you're special. Stop thinking life owes you something. Start with what Seneca called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Imagine losing everything: your job, your relationship, your health, your status. Really imagine it. Feel the terror. Then realize you'd still exist. You'd still be you. The core of you that isn't dependent on any of that would remain. That core, that's the man. Everything else is just the boy's costume. But here's the kicker. You can't think your way to manhood. You can't read your way there. You can't achieve your way there. You have to live your way there through 1,000 small deaths of the boy you were. Every time you choose truth over comfort. Every time you face criticism without defending. Every time you sit with pain instead of medicating it. Every time you say no to what you don't want instead of yes to what you think you should want. Each choice kills the boy a little more. It is a shameful thing to be weary of inquiry when what we search for is excellent, Seneca wrote. But boys are weary of the real inquiry, the inquiry into themselves. They'll research investments for hours but won't spend 5 minutes asking why they need so much money. They'll analyze sports statistics but won't examine their own patterns. They'll debate politics but won't question their own motivations. The inquiry that matters is internal. Why do I need this approval? Why does rejection terrify me? Why do I compete with men I don't even like? Why do I chase women I don't even want? Why am I performing this version of masculinity that exhausts me? Boys don't ask these questions because they might not like the answers. They might discover that their whole life has been a response to fears they've never examined, that they've been running on a program installed in childhood by people who were just as lost as they are now. But men love these questions. They love them because they lead somewhere real, not to more achievement, more validation, more external proof of worth. They lead to freedom. The freedom to be what you actually are instead of what you thought you had to be. This freedom terrifies boys. Because what if what they actually are isn't enough? What if, stripped of all performance and pretense, they're ordinary? What if they're not the hero of the story but just another guy trying to figure it out? Here's the beautiful thing. That's exactly what you are. Just another guy trying to figure it out. And that's enough. It's always been enough. The whole performance has been unnecessary. The whole struggle has been against a standard that doesn't exist. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, Seneca wrote, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. Boys live in expectancy, always waiting for the payoff, always investing in futures that will justify their present emptiness. Men live now, not in some mystical, enlightened way, but in the simple recognition that this is what we have, this moment, this choice, this opportunity to be what we are or pretend to be something else. The transition from boy to man isn't marked by any external event. There's no ceremony, no certificate, no woman who declares you've made it. It happens quietly, privately, the moment you stop needing those things. You'll know it's happened when you can fail without excuses, when you can succeed without gloating, when you can be rejected without collapsing, when you can be alone without panic, when you can be wrong without defending, when you can be ordinary without shame. That's the paradox that breaks boys' brains. You become extraordinary by accepting you're ordinary. You become enough by stopping the quest to be enough. You become a man by giving up the performance of manhood. Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future, Seneca observed. Boys live in all three temporal hells, haunted by what they should have done, distracted from what they're doing, terrified of what might happen. Men live in time differently. They learn from the past without living there. They engage the present without clinging to it. They prepare for the future without depending on it. They understand what boys don't. Time isn't something you have, it's something you are. So, here's my question for you. How much more time will you waste being a boy? How many more years of performance, of seeking, of running, of waiting for someone else to declare you man enough? The door is open. It's always been open. You can walk through it right now. Not to become something new, but to stop pretending to be something you're not, to drop the act, to let the boy die so the man who's always been there can finally live. But I'll warn you, there's no going back. Once you see your own boyishness clearly, you can't unsee it. Once you recognize the performance, you can't unconsciously perform anymore. Once you accept the ordinary truth of what you are, you can't return to the extraordinary lie of what you pretended to be. Most men aren't ready for that. They'd rather stay boys, complaining about how hard it is, how unfair, how no one understands them. They'd rather keep the familiar misery than face the unfamiliar truth. But some men, real men, they're done with that. They're tired of the performance. They're exhausted by the pretense. They're ready to stop being boys, even if it means admitting they've wasted years, even decades, on a game that doesn't exist. For them, Seneca's words ring like a bell. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Not tomorrow, not after the next achievement, not when you feel ready. Now, because the boy will never feel ready. The boy will always have another excuse, another delay, another reason to wait. But the man knows the truth. There is no ready. There is no perfect moment. There is no external permission. There is only the choice, made again and again, to stop pretending and start living. To stop being a boy playing dress-up in a man's life. To start being what you are, mortal, ordinary, and free. The choice is yours. It always has been. What are you waiting for? You know what's funny? Even as I write this, I can feel some of you constructing your escape routes. Well, that doesn't apply to me because he doesn't understand my situation. Sure, but in my case, this is the boy's last defense, the special circumstance, the unique situation that exempts him from the human condition. My father was particularly cruel. My ex-wife really did destroy me. My boss actually is unfair. My circumstances truly are different. Fine, they're different. So what? You think Seneca had it easy? The man was exiled by one emperor, forced to commit suicide by another. He watched his philosophy students become tyrants. He saw his life's work twisted into its opposite. You think he didn't have excuses available? Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men, he wrote. Not from some ivory tower, from exile, from the edge of death, from watching everything he'd built crumble, and still, he refused to be a boy about it. Because here's what boys don't understand about circumstances. They're just weather. Some people get sunshine, some get hurricanes. Neither makes you more or less of a man. The hurricane doesn't care about your feelings. The sunshine doesn't validate your worth. Weather just is. But boys take weather personally. They think their storms mean something about them. They build entire identities around their trauma. I'm the guy with the difficult childhood. I'm the one who got screwed over. I'm the victim of. Men just get wet. They don't make the rain mean anything. They don't use it as an excuse to stop walking. They don't spend their lives telling everyone how wet they got that one time. They dry off and keep moving. This is why therapy can become another trap for eternal boys. Not because examining your past is wrong, it's essential, but because boys use insight as an excuse for inaction. They collect diagnoses like merit badges. They explain their behavior instead of changing it. They understand why they're broken, but never fix anything. I have anger issues because my father. I can't commit because my mother. I sabotage success because of early trauma. Okay, Now what? Boys stop at the because. Men ask, so what am I going to do about it? Understanding why you're a boy doesn't make you a man. It just makes you a self-aware boy. And self-aware boys might be the worst kind because they use their awareness as another performative tool. Look how honest I'm being about my flaws. Look how vulnerable. Isn't that basically the same as changing? No, it's not. Confession without change is just another performance. Vulnerability without growth is just sophisticated manipulation. I'm working on myself becomes the eternal boy's eternal excuse. Always working, never worked. Always processing, never processed. Always almost ready to actually change. Seneca knew this trap. To wish to progress is the largest part of progress. Boys love this quote because they think wishing counts. They think wanting to change is basically changing. They think the desire for manhood is manhood itself. But read it again. The largest part, not the only part, not the complete part. The largest part of progress is wishing for it, but then comes the actual work, and the work isn't glamorous. It isn't Instagram worthy. It doesn't come with applause. The work is getting up when you want to sleep in. It's having the difficult conversation instead of the easy silence. It's saying no to the comfortable yes. It's choosing discomfort in service of growth instead of comfort in service of stagnation. Boys hate this work because it's boring. There's no audience for your daily choices. No one cheers when you don't check your ex's social media. No one applauds when you sit with your anxiety instead of drinking it away. No one notices when you choose truth over charm in a conversation. But these invisible moments, these are where boys die and men are born. In the 1,000 unglamorous choices that no one sees and no one rewards. You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire, Seneca observed. This is the boy's paradox perfectly captured. They're terrified of judgment, rejection, failure, as if these could actually kill them. But they pursue pleasure, success, validation, as if they'll live forever to enjoy them. Men reverse this. They act like immortals in what they fear, facing it directly because what's the worst that could happen? They'll die? They're dying anyway. But they act like mortals in what they desire, taking what comes without the desperate grasping of those who think this is their only chance. Watch how boys handle money. They either hoard it like dragons or spend it like drunks. Either way, they're slaves to it. It determines their mood, their choices, their sense of self. They check their accounts like checking their pulse. Am I still alive? Am I winning? Am I enough yet? Men use money. They don't serve it. They don't worship it. They don't measure themselves by it. It's a tool, like a hammer. Useful for building, useless for identity. You wouldn't base your self-worth on how many hammers you own. Why do it with dollars? But boys need external metrics because they don't have internal ones. They need to know the score because they don't know themselves. They need to rank themselves against others because they can't evaluate themselves alone. This is why social media is cocaine for eternal boys. Finally, a constantly updated scoreboard. Likes, follows, views, moment by moment, validation that they exist, that they matter, that they're winning the game they've invented in their heads. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality, Seneca wrote. But boys live entirely in imagination. They imagine what others think. They imagine future scenarios. They imagine past conversations going differently. They imagine themselves as they wish they were instead of seeing themselves as they are. Men live in reality, not because they're unimaginative, but because they've learned that reality is where everything actually happens. Reality is where you actually change. Reality is where you actually connect. Reality is where you actually live. And reality has this inconvenient feature. It doesn't care about your story. It doesn't care that you were supposed to be special. It doesn't care that you tried really hard. It doesn't care that you meant well. Reality just is what it is. Boys find this intolerable. How dare reality not conform to their expectations? How dare life not follow the script they wrote in their heads? How dare the universe not recognize their protagonist status? So they retreat into their heads, where they're still the hero, still special, still destined for greatness once everyone else realizes how wrong they've been. They live in the someday, Someday they'll be recognized. Someday they'll be ready. Someday they'll show everyone. Men live in today, this moment, this reality, however imperfect. They've given up the someday fantasy for the today reality. And paradoxically, that's when life actually becomes extraordinary. Not because they're special, but because they're present. You want to see the difference clearly? Watch how they handle criticism. Boys either crumble or counterattack. They take it as an assault on their very being. They defend, deflect, deny. They shoot the messenger. They find reasons why the criticism is invalid, unfair, or motivated by jealousy. Men listen, even when it stings, especially when it stings, because they know something boys don't. Your critics often see you more clearly than your fans. Your enemies might understand you better than your friends. The people who don't like you might be picking up on exactly what you need to change. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable, Seneca noted. Boys are always adjusting their sails, always checking the wind, always looking for the perfect conditions. But they never choose a port. They don't want to commit to a destination because what if they choose wrong? What if there's a better port? What if they're meant for somewhere else? So they drift, busy but aimless, moving but not progressing, always in motion, never arriving anywhere. And then they wonder why they feel so lost despite all their effort. Men choose a port and sail there, not because they're certain it's the perfect destination, not because someone told them it's where they should go, but because choosing and moving beats drifting and waiting every single time. They can always choose a new port later, but first they have to learn how to choose at all. They have to learn how to commit to a direction without needing cosmic confirmation that it's the right one. This terrifies boys because commitment means closing off options. It means saying no to infinite possibilities by saying yes to one reality. It means being willing to be wrong, to choose poorly, to end up somewhere you didn't expect. But here's what boys miss. You end up somewhere unexpected anyway. Drifting isn't safer than sailing. It just feels safer because you can blame the current instead of your choices. You can play victim to circumstance instead of author of your life. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable, Seneca wrote, and boys are always anxious about future events. What if the economy crashes? What if she leaves? What if I get sick? What if I fail? What if? What if? What if? They live in a constant state of pre-traumatic stress, suffering from things that haven't happened and probably won't. They prepare for disasters that never come, while missing the actual life that's happening right now. Men understand something profound. You can't prepare for everything. Life will surprise you, loss will find you, pain will visit. So what? You'll handle it when it comes, the way humans always have. The way you've handled everything else that you thought would kill you, but didn't. The boy's anxiety comes from believing he needs to be ready for everything. The man's peace comes from knowing he'll figure it out when he needs to. Not because he's special or strong or prepared, but because that's what humans do. We adapt, we endure, we continue. But boys want guarantees. They want to know it will work out. They want assurance that the pain will be worth it, that the effort will pay off, that the risk will be rewarded. They want someone to promise them that growing up won't hurt. It will hurt. Growing up requires killing who you were to become who you are. It requires disappointing people who preferred your performance. It requires admitting you've been wrong about fundamental things. It requires facing the fact that you've wasted time you can't get back. Of course it hurts. Everything worth doing hurts. But boys think hurt is the enemy. They think comfort is the goal. They think the point of life is to minimize pain and maximize pleasure. So they stay small, stay safe, stay boys. Men know that hurt is just information. It tells you where you're growing, where you're changing, where you're becoming more real and less performative. They don't seek pain, but they don't run from it either. They work with it. What need is there to weep over parts of life? Seneca asked. The whole of it calls for tears. This sounds depressing to boys. But to men, it's liberating. If the whole thing is tragic, then tragedy isn't special. If everyone suffers, then suffering isn't personal. If loss is universal, then losing doesn't make you a loser. Boys want life to be a comedy where they're the hero who wins in the end. Men accept that it's a tragedy where everyone dies, so you might as well live fully while you're here. Not despite the tragedy, but because of it. The finite nature of life is what makes it matter. This is what boys can't grasp. Accepting the tragic nature of life doesn't make you depressed. It sets you free. Free from the exhausting pretense that you're supposed to be happy all the time. Free from the lie that success will save you. Free from the delusion that you're exempt from the human condition. When you accept that life is difficult, difficulty stops being evidence that you're doing it wrong. When you accept that you'll die, time stops being something to kill. When you accept that you're not special, you can finally start being yourself. But boys are addicted to the struggle against reality. They think fighting what is makes them warriors. They think refusing to accept makes them strong. They think their resistance is heroic. It's not. It's just exhausting. For them and everyone around them, real strength lies in acceptance without resignation, in seeing clearly without becoming cynical, in engaging fully without expecting guarantees, in living as if it matters while knowing it might not. This is the narrow path to manhood, between the boy's naive optimism and the cynic's bitter surrender, between believing you're special and believing you're worthless, between thinking life owes you everything and thinking it owes you nothing. Men walk this narrow path not because they're balanced, but because they're willing to wobble. They're willing to be uncertain without being paralyzed. They're willing to be wrong without being destroyed. They're willing to be ordinary without being diminished. It is not death that a man should fear, Seneca wrote, but never beginning to live. And this is the ultimate boy's fear, not death, but life, real life, unperformed life. Life without a script, without a guarantee, without an audience to tell you you're doing it right. Boys would rather perform life than live it, would rather curate experiences than have them, would rather document moments than inhabit them, would rather tell stories about their life than actually live stories worth telling. So they die without ever living. Not physically, their hearts keep beating, their lungs keep breathing, but spiritually, they die at 25 and aren't buried until 75. Walking corpses, performing aliveness without ever being alive. Men choose the harder path, actual life, with all its uncertainty, its pain, its mundane beauty. They choose to show up without knowing how it ends. They choose to love without guarantees. They choose to build knowing it will all fall down eventually, not because they're heroes, but because they finally understand what boys never learn. The only real failure is not to live. The only real tragedy is to reach the end still wearing your costume, still performing your role, still waiting for someone to tell you that you did it right. There is no right. There is no script. There is no audience. There is only this moment, this choice, this opportunity to stop being who you think you should be and start being who you are. The boys are waiting for permission. They're waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting to feel ready. They're waiting for someone to show them the way. Men know the secret. The permission comes from doing it. The moment becomes perfect by choosing it. You become ready by starting. The way appears by walking. But knowing isn't enough. Boys know all this too. They've read the books, heard the podcasts, attended the seminars. They can quote Seneca and Marcus Aurelius and every other philosopher who's ever called them to greatness. The difference? Men do something with what they know. They take the next right action, however small. They change one thing, then another. They stop talking about transformation and start transforming, because ultimately, that's what separates boys from men. Boys talk, men do. Boys explain. Men demonstrata. Boys perform. Men become. Boys wait. Men begin. So, I'll ask you again, and for the last time, what are you waiting for? The door is open. The path is clear. The choice is simple, though not easy. You can stay a boy, safe in your performance, protected by your excuses, comforted by your complaints. Or you can walk through that door, drop the costume, face the truth, begin the painful, necessary, liberating work of finally growing up. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready, not when you've figured it all out. Now, because now is all you have. Now is all any of us have. And now is enough. If you're brave enough to begin,